Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We'll take a look at what the dollar, the 10 and 30-year yield are doing, what the precious metals are doing, and also all the commodities that I follow. I'll give you my financial opinion. We'll take a look at it, and let's dive right in. So here we go. This is the DXY. The DXY is a relative strength indicator of the dollar. Heading higher today, we had that 75-point basis rate hike that the Federal Reserve has done, and we're seeing that dollar remain resilient. Now, I guess there was some verbiage or something people are talking about that in the future they may not be as large of increases. That is yet to be seen and determined, but that's what people are talking about. But 75 basis points hike, a little bit stronger dollar. Big picture view, we're sitting on top of this support zone. And are we going to jump from this level and rocket higher, which means that the dollar is stronger than all the other currencies it's being measured against, even though they're all falling off a cliff? Or are we going to head back down and start kind of this second stage of a big bull market in commodities? That is what I'm waiting to see, is which direction we're going to go, either higher or lower, and these things are somewhat tied to interest rates. Looking at the 10-year yield, the 10-year yield continues to be resilient, up 0.22%. We can throw in the most recent trend. If I were to do that, we are playing with that support area, and I don't know if we're going to hold on here or if we're going to break to the downside with the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield going up usually it mimics what oil does to some extent. I mean, it's not perfect, but oil going higher is inflationary, and the 10-year yield goes up usually under inflationary conditions. I'll put it that way. And it's not a one-to-one correlation. It's just loosely correlated. Oil goes higher, 10-year yield goes higher. They all kind of move together. TLT, which is the 20-year bond price, lower today. So higher yields, lower bond price. We are still in a downtrend. We're still trending lower, and we have not broken out of that trend yet. So yields higher, bond prices lower, and then the 30-year yield is sideways today, but it has been on a tear, moving higher over time, over the past. We have not broken out. We have not broken the downtrend yet, or I should say the uptrend line. We have not broken the uptrend line yet, but it's been very strong, very resilient over these past couple of years in an uptrend cycle. The TYX to TNX ratio, we're right at that support level. We pulled back on down. That's usually an indication where oil outperforms, precious metals underperform, when this ratio heads lower. Commodities doing well today, up 1.5%. It looks like we're trying to reclaim this move higher. And to me, I still think we've got another big leg out of this for commodities. Then after that, we're going to have to see, because usually they do very well under increasing interest rate environments and during the pause, and maybe even during the beginning stages of when they go to start lowering interest rates. The cycle of commodities does very well from an inflationary standpoint when monetary conditions are loose and they are coming out with high inflation and increasing interest rate environments. That's at the end of the increasing rate cycle. They increase more and more and more, and then they start to reduce the amount of increases, and then they do a pause. That is usually when some of these commodities go ballistic, like uranium, like oil. They have their blow-off tops and all that stuff that comes up. So I do think that's still ahead of us. It's probably some time ahead of us. This isn't very fast moving. And we'll have to monitor to see what housing does. If housing crashes, like if we see a crash in the volume of housing starts, then we've got about 12 months to 18 months to react to that data. But right now, commodities are still doing well. We're hanging on just fine. The uptrend is looking good. CRB to S&P 500, we are back in the driver's seat for commodities, outperforming at least the past 2 trading sessions. That looks good. Rising interest rates, overall stock market doesn't like that. Commodities generally do very well under those conditions. With that dollar increasing and with the interest rates increasing, we still have some resistance or some headwinds in precious metals. That's going to change. And precious metals do very well when they stop raising rates as much. That's usually when they do quite well. We also have a declining M2 money supply, and I don't think gold likes that at this time, but we'll see where we go in the short term here. I do think that we're still early, but it still looks good. We've got nice, good buying pressure coming up here, smaller selling pressure, big buying pressure, smaller selling pressure. I do think that we'll eventually work our way up to the upside in all of the precious metals. Gold, in silver still above support, still looking good. And platinum, the same thing. We are in an uptrend, kind of trying to come up. Could we break to the downside here in the short term and do a retest move before going higher? It's very well possible. I'm not playing the short term. I'm accumulating where things are cheap. I do think that all these precious metals are cheap, and I'm holding on for the big move. XAU to gold ratio does not look favorable for the precious metals mining companies. They definitely sold off today in a big way. And we're back inside of this pattern. GDX heading lower. You can see that we were at that resistance line, and it was a pretty good resistance line. Hulk smash lower. I think that some of these metals miners and some of the people positioning probably thought that it'd be a little bit more dovish than they were with rates. So maybe it caught some of these people off guard. A little bit of selling pressure there. Same with SILJ. I think a lot of people are wondering, hey, look, we need to start pivoting. And they didn't necessarily pivot. Or maybe, remember, it's the expectations versus what happened. But we had some selling pressure there in SILJ and GDX today. Crude oil still marching higher, up 0.92%. When they stop releasing from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve releases, I think we're going to get unhinged here. We're going to go. Exact timing, everybody wants the timing on the short term. It's the hardest to predict. I'm going to just say it's very soon, as in very, very soon. Natural gas already being as volatile as it can get. It's doing its own thing. Maybe we're kind of consolidating here a little bit before a big old move higher. I do like natural gas. I think it's low. Good opportunities are in natural gas there. XOP, yeah, you know me, down 2.63%. What's it doing down with crude oil and natural gas heading higher today? Good question. We're at this resistance support level. So we're kind of just hanging out here, getting some buying, selling pressure all around. And I'm still bullish on it. Exact timing in the short term is always the most difficult. I don't want to claim, hey, look, we're going to the moon, and it doesn't go to the moon. And people are like, well, I think eventually we're going to head that way. The path, not known. But everything's still looking all right. We do have a little bit of selling pressure today, and we do have support right underneath us. We've got energy service companies selling off a little bit today. Still doesn't look bad. We've got this nice big bullish engulfing, that green candlestick with 2 small down days. So it still looks bullish to me. There is the possibility that we do a retest move. That's where we come on down and then head higher. That happens a lot when you break out. You break out, you do a return move, and then you break on higher. So energy service companies, we could get that return move where we come on back and then rocket launch from that support level, that trend line. But that is, again, unknown. We don't know for sure if we're going to get the full retest, if we're just going to get a small retest, if this just becomes a little bloody nose. But it's looking very good from a bullish perspective. We have the breakout. We've got resistance below us and all those things. Uranium futures up 0.3%. This is what it looks like on a monthly candlestick. Let's go to the weeklies. Still looks good over here. I don't see much selling pressure. So I remain bullish. We're above support. Everything looks good. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, a little bit of a down day today. Still looks all right. We're not seeing huge selling pressure. I'm looking for a reversal somewhere soon. Somewhere soon. Looking at Uranium, also getting some selling pressure. We've got the breakout. This could obviously come back to this area if it wants to. We've got a little bit more momentum on this selling pressure. We had a strong closing. So I do think that we could potentially head lower in the short term before moving higher. TAN also getting some selling pressure there. This is more sensitive to the overall markets, more sensitive to yields because of the loans and the non-cash flow that they're generating, or not generating, I should say, but still looks good on a long-term perspective. We've got this consolidation. You mirror this thing, and then we'll see if this thing wants to rocket higher at some point. COPX, this is our copper ETF. We were down 3.46%. We're right at this resistance line. We're kind of, I guess, squeezing up, so to speak, right here. Are we going to break higher or break lower? And I'm not too sure on which direction copper is going to go. I know that the overall markets are slowing down, and I know that energy continues higher, and we'll see how this thing all squeezes up, which way we break. Lithium also going higher with the overall markets. Like I said, we kind of have this upward moving thing that we're starting to break to the downside. So I do think that we could potentially see a little bit more downside in lithium in the short term. REMX, we're coming back. I think we'll come back and hit this support level right below it, 83.50, and then we'll see where we go from there. But we're just kind of chopping sideways. A little bit more selling pressure today with a stronger close. The S&P 500, stronger selling pressure. We kind of broke this uptrend line there to the downside. I do think that there could be further downside in the S&P 500 here. We also have the NASDAQ selling off. There's that bearish engulfing. That's usually a reversal candlestick to head lower. And we headed lower, and we finished strong to the downside, which means further downside is most likely the case in the U.S. Composite Index. Emerging markets, stronger dollar, down a little bit today in emerging markets. Still looks like it's pretty strong given that the overall market sold off pretty well. Given the stronger dollar, it didn't really move too much. We were only down 0.83%. XHB, which is the Home Builders Index, that just follows the overall market. Bearish engulfing there, and there we are heading lower, finishing strong. And I would suspect that this has further downside with where it closed today. MU also moving lower, finishing quite strong to the downside. There could be further downside left in this. We'll have to see what the sellers are doing with this VanEck agribusiness ETF. If they come out of the gate strong, we could easily see more downside. And we'll see how strong that impulse move is on the pullback. Copper still moving sideways, still looks good from a futures standpoint. This isn't a strong selling pressure day today, only down 0.94. It still looks all right. Lumber heading a little bit lower. Still, we've got some room before we do a full retest. But lumber is correlated to the overall markets. Stronger lumber prices usually means stronger markets, especially in the housing market. I mean, that's what I'm referring to. We've got iron ore. That's up 2.89%. This guy fell out to the downside out of this pattern, and we're starting to try to recover. I would not be jumping in front of that. Just let it recover before looking at it, because this is a strong move to the downside. There's a lot of momentum behind it, and I just don't jump in front of those momentum trains. Aluminum still moving sideways at support, still looking okay. The Baltic Dry Index falling lower. So we're seeing some selling pressure in the Baltic Dry Index. And right now, it does not look good. We are still heading lower. And then we've got coal. Coal is firming up a little bit, up 0.76%. You can see you can barely see it there. not the red day, but the little hyphen next to it. And that's still looking, in my opinion, okay. If you look at some of the other patterns that some of these charts have made in historical movements, they link up very well with coal for still a continued bull market. So that's what I see in the overall markets, guys. I think oil is the strongest and natural gas. This is an energy related game. We're seeing some weakness in the overall markets. It could obviously pull some of our other commodities back a little bit, but higher rates, if you look at the big picture view, is bullish generally for commodities. It is obviously bearish for bonds. That's a direct selling pressure of bonds. And then the overall stock markets do not like increasing interest rates. They go lower, especially technology companies. So commodities are still hanging in there. I think we're getting close for a slowdown in interest rates going up. If that's the case, I would like to see, I think we're going to see further strength in the commodities. I think we're going to see strength, newfound strength in precious metals. We do have a midweek update for Platinum members on the website. I'll be releasing that here shortly to the website so you guys can see what my favorite companies are at this time and which companies I'm watching based off chart patterns and which ones I think could outperform under these market conditions. And if you guys haven't joined, definitely join the community, the Platinum membership, finding-value.com. That's where it's found. You can see my portfolio. You can see what's going on there, which ones I'm overweight and whatnot. We do have a question and answer session Sunday, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Definitely don't miss it. Ask your questions, and we can work through the companies together and see which ones are the best opportunities. All right, guys, that's what I've got for today. Thumb up for the content, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.